Hello, this is Angela with Permaculture. Welcome back to Hausfrau Friday. I'm sitting in my backyard enjoying the very warm summer-ish weather we're having today. You can probably hear in the background everybody else in the neighborhood that can possibly be outside doing things is outside. Pressure washing, mowing, weed whacking. So sorry for that kind of noise in the background. There's also lots of birds out, tons of birds today, a lot of wrens and song sparrows. So you can see this is kind of a utilitarian area. We have the dinner bell here. I have a butcher block from my grandma's house in Indiana. I have our outdoor propane cooker where we tend to cook things on hot days. Maybe it's like fried tofu and stir-fried noodles. Maybe it's taco meat. Maybe it's sausages and, apples and potatoes or something like that for dinner. A great versatile little outdoor cooker that my dad made. And then you can see the bike shed that we built a couple years ago. It's just a little lean-to where the kids can stash their bikes out of the rain. So I'm hanging out here today and, it's been a really, really long, hard day, and I might make a second video to let you all know a little bit about what's going on. But I had a few minutes of downtime and I was catching up on my audiobook, trying to finish it before it's due at the library, listening to it on 1.85 time to try and finish it. And I was working on a skirt while I was sitting here. There's a linen skirt here. I'll stand up a little bit and see if you can see it. This linen skirt that I have been working on. It has a yoke here and then it's gathered and it's long. Quite a lot of fabric. I might cut in another picture there in a minute. So it's a long linen skirt that I have sewn 100% by hand, including gathering all of the gathers where the body of the skirt meets the yoke. And then I was working on the hem, which you can see here. A lot of times I like to use twill tape for a hem, so I don't have to use my more expensive fabric and have quite as big of a fold over. I like a heavy hem because I feel like it helps the edge of the skirt hang really nicely. And twill tape is cotton, it's cheap. If this area ends up getting worn, I can just cut it out and redo it. It's quite easy to work with. So I was showing you all in a little piece of video how I did the stitches for the bottom of the hem while I was wearing the skirt. I was flipping up the edges and finishing it. And I noticed in the shot that you can see my legs. And I thought, this is a great opportunity to talk about the fact that I don't remove any of my body hair. And you can probably just click away now if this is not a topic that interests you, but maybe it is. I'm 44 years old. Many times in my life, in college, I went to kind of a hippie school for a period of time, and in my mid-20s for a period of time, in my late 30s for a period of time, and since the beginning of the pandemic, chosen not to remove my leg hair or the hair in my underarms. Really kind of like a non-issue for me, but I realize it might be for other people. So I thought, well, let's take a second and talk about it, normalize it for a moment. As a homemaker and the parent of 2 daughters and also 2 sons, I think it's important to demonstrate that the way that our bodies naturally look is not a problem that needs fixing. And there are a couple of reasons that I have chosen not to shave my legs or my underarms. And that is, partly to do with kind of my environmental philosophies, but it's also just a matter of practicality, and it's also a matter of normalizing normal bodies for my kids. So from an environmental standpoint, I don't have to use disposable razors. That is one small thing that goes into the waste stream that I am omitting. And that feels good to me. Obviously, there are more sustainable ways of engaging in that practice, and no judgment against you if that's something that you want to do or not do. I feel like however we want to display our bodies to the public, how we want to clothe ourselves and arrange our hair and our looks is totally fine. It's up to us. That's a matter of self-expression. Second point for me is that it's a big time saver, right? I realized in the pandemic I had nobody to see and nowhere to go. And it was just a waste of time and energy that I didn't feel like putting forth anymore. Maybe at previous points in my life in college or in Derby, it was like kind of a political statement, right? It was like a way of identifying yourself with another group of like-minded people, right? A lot of how we present our bodies to the world is about communicating the social circles that we're in. But in the pandemic, it was purely like entropy. I stopped one day and then never started again. But I also want to make it really clear that, you know, this is a choice that works really well for our family. And it's one that actually both of my daughters made well before I did this round of it. But I've always communicated to them that your body is fine no matter how you want to present it to the world. So for them, they have both made that choice that they're not interested in doing that. And obviously we live in Portland, Oregon. It's much easier to be culturally accepted for not removing your body hair if you are, you know, woman, than it is elsewhere. But I'll also say, like, people don't really care as much as you think they do. You know, if you go out with a skirt above the knee, nobody's really looking at your legs. And if they are and they're passing judgment, like, do you really need their approval or lack thereof? And so for me, it's very freeing. Part of being in your 40s is really enjoying that you do not give a flying flip about what other people think about you and how you choose to dress and decorate and present yourself, right? That's a gift that comes to you in your 40s, if not sooner. You really don't care anymore. And I think for my kids, at 18 and 20, like, they stopped caring way before I did. Maybe that generation has a leg up. They aren't bundled with those insecurities of my generation. They don't care at all. So for all my kids, I want them to feel like no matter what the gender is of your partner, you can love and value and be attracted to them no matter how they look, right? And I think it's really important to normalize normal bodies, right? Normal, unaltered bodies. And then also to say, if there's a way that you choose to alter your appearance, that's okay. That's your self-expression. And all of that is well and good. So I don't know if you have thoughts. It doesn't seem very radical for me to think that, you know, I don't need to participate in a really recent development. Most cultures in the world, women don't remove their body hair. Even like when we lived in Europe when I was really young, most of the folks there did not engage in that practice. So a very recent cultural development that just doesn't have any relevance to my life and was kind of an annoyance and a way that I produced more waste. For what? For a practice that I didn't really care about. So now that I have finished my skirt, I am going to maybe make another video and talk about what happened this morning. And then I'm off to a meeting this evening. I hope that you all are staying well and cool and that you're not getting too much sunshine. I got a little too much sunshine the last couple days. I'll be back with a regular Hausfrau Friday video. I still really want to dive into the book More Work for Mother and do a really good deep dive into it. But this was not the week for that because I spent basically from 6 in the morning till 11 in meetings. And I just didn't have time to really sit down and crank that out, but it's on my list. So thank you for watching today. Don't forget to click like and subscribe and check out the ways you can support this channel down below. Thanks.